Good morning. Welcome to our live class with me, Sally, and I am co-founder of Reach Your Peak, which is an online exercise community for people living with Parkinson's. And we are particularly interested in helping people use exercise as part of their treatment plan. Let me just move my camera a little bit because this morning we're going to work through some exercises together, and I wanted to make sure that you can see as much of me as possible in the screen, because you're going to join along with me today on a taster of our Get Started exercises. So last week I gave you some examples of our all-in-one workouts, which are workouts designed to include a little bit of all of the elements of a Parkinson's specific prescription, and they are best suited to people who've already got an established exercise routine. Our Get Started exercises are part of a program which is designed to build in intensity, duration, and complexity, taking someone from little or no Parkinson's exercise experience right through over a 10-week period to where they're exercising at the optimum recommended dose to treat their symptoms. So this is just going to be a very little taster of that. With any of the movements that I'm going to ask you to try today, if you experience any pain or discomfort, please make sure you either stop or modify to something that suits you better. If you feel unwell, then stop. And if you're exercising alone, it's a good idea to have a method of communication nearby should you need to reach out for any help during any of the movements. So we're going to be doing this whole routine in standing. You don't need any additional equipment, but you may want a chair nearby just in case you need to hold on to something for some balance. Okay, so our routine this morning is going to be a gentle warm-up, which gives us an opportunity to do some mobility work and to really work through the full range of movements in our muscles and joints. We're then going to give you a taster of 3 different Get Started exercises, and that has elements of aerobic activity in there. It will have lots of balance, agility, multitasking. That complexity is going to be in there. And then once we've already warmed up our bodies after that movement, we can then go on to some static stretches. So we've included many of our elements, perhaps not so much on the strengthening side, but yeah, we'll try and cover as much as we possibly can. So for starting with our warm-up, can I get you just to stand in a nice wide stance? So wider than hip width apart with your feet, and try and make sure that you're aware of equal weight between the base of the big toe, the little toe, and the heel, all connected in towards the floor. We want the bottom to be tucked underneath, and stand with your palms facing forwards. So that makes you open out the front of the chest. Your eye line should be parallel to the floor, and we begin in this strong, powerful position. I'm going to get you to take 3 deep breaths, and as you breathe in, your arms come up to the side. And as you breathe out, you can lower them back down. Do that again, nice big breath in, palms face forward. And breathe out, come down. One more as you turn those palms face forward, splay the fingers out. And breathe out, come down. Arms are down by your side now. Fingertips reaching towards the floor. And if you can side bend over one way, just as far as you're comfortable to manage, and then come back up. And then over the other way, side bend, and come back up. Let's go one more to each side. Lovely. When you come back up into the middle, I want you to roll your shoulders up, round, and back. Open at the front of the chest. Up, round, and back. 2 more. Exaggerate the size of the movement for me. Good. Lovely. Hands onto hips. So we've got another strong, powerful position here. Elbows back. And you're going to bring the feet a little bit more underneath you now into a probably what's more like a normal stance. And I want you to bend at the ball of the big foot, ball of the big foot, ball of the big toe. So you're pressing through the foot. Missed out a few important words there, didn't I? So bending at the ball of the foot, pushing through, and then twist around with the foot and ankle. So this is a nice way for us to loosen out through the feet, and it just gets a little bit of mobility around the hip there as well. Standing tall, and if you need something to hold on to, if you've got a chair nearby, a wall, a windowsill, that's absolutely fine. We're working on mobility rather than balance here. And then change the direction of your circle. Marvellous. Let's do exactly the same thing on the other side. So bending at the ball of the foot and circle round. Good. Change direction, go the other way. Super. And then we come back into that nice strong parallel stance. So we've worked through all of the kind of big joints and muscles of your body there in our warm-up. If there are any other areas that you know you need to get loosened off before we begin, then take a little bit of time to do that right now. As you're doing that, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this next section of the routine that I've got planned for you today. We're going to work on 3 different exercises: box step, cheerleader, and speed skater. And for anyone watching who has gone through the Get Started program, or indeed has done any of our all-in-one workouts, because those exercises sometimes feature there, you will know that they are a little bit more tricky than perhaps they look, or they certainly can get more tricky. So we always start with a kind of basic component of the movement and then add layers on. So we add more complexity to the movement as we go along. Now, the reason that we do that and the reason that we teach that way is because, particularly with Parkinson's, and you will know this better than I, your symptoms can vary on any given day, any given hour, or through any given week. And what we want to give you is the information to make you your own expert on how your body is moving on that particular day. So you can add some layers of complexity onto the movement if you want to create more challenge, or you can remove a few layers so that you can still move, still get that aerobic component of your exercise, but perhaps take away a little bit of that complexity if it's limiting the way that you move. So it's about having that ability to adapt your exercise so that you still do something, because as we always say, something is better than nothing, and that you do something that is best suited to your body at that time. Okay, so what we're going to do first is a box step. And the basic component of a box step movement is, from a stance position, we go to a wide step forward, and then another wide step forward, and then we come to a narrow step back, and a narrow step back. And we keep going with that pattern. Each time you step forward, if you can try to alternate the lead leg, so the one that's just come back is the one that then goes back out again. Okay, I'm going to put a timer on, and we're going to do 40 seconds of a box step. You don't necessarily have to keep up pace with me. If you feel like you can go a little bit faster, then you can do, or if you want to slow it down, then that's also absolutely fine. But we want to work for that full 40 seconds with a box step movement. I've got a timer ready for us, so let me get that set up. Oh, that says 2 minutes. We don't want to do that long, do we? Okay, here we go. So we've got 40 seconds. And we're going hands on hips, wide, wide, narrow, narrow, wide, wide, narrow, narrow. Good. And you can bring in a little bit of pace to that, a little bit of bounce if you want to add some intensity into your workout. But the most important thing is, let's get that pattern first. Make the steps as wide as you can as you go out, and then precise and accurate as you come back into that same narrow stance position each time. Good. And that is our 40 seconds complete. So we'll stop that one. Brilliant. So that's 40 seconds. What we usually do in our workouts is we get you to work for 40 seconds and then we give you a 20-second, what we call active rest period. And in that active rest, we get you to keep moving somehow in order to keep your heart rate up so that we're meeting that moderate, aiming towards vigorous level for your exertion, your intensity and exercise. So let's add a little bit more into your box step now. So we're going to do arms at the same time as legs. So we go out, out, in, and in. So the arms just mirror the legs. So same arm as leg, and come in. Let's try that for 40 seconds. Off we go. So it's wide, wide, narrow, narrow. And you can give a little bit of oomph in that as well. So we want to make sure that those positions are very, very deliberate, very, very purposeful. Keeping a nice, steady rhythm and tempo that suits you. Working for that full 40 seconds if you can. And that is our timer up. Good. Let me turn that little buzzer off. So you can see then how when we add an arm and a leg movement together, it ups the level of complexity. So it's challenging your brain, remembering we wanted to exercise your brain and not your body. But if you lose some of the range of movement or some of the ability to move as quickly as you would like to, you just take a layer off. You could do just legs, or you could do just arms. And then when you've practiced, you can bring the two together. Now I'm going to bring in an extra element of complexity to this one. And that is going to be that as we step one leg forwards, the opposite arm goes out. So it's always opposite arm to leg that's moving. Now I can almost guarantee that I'm going to get in a muddle over our 40 seconds. And if that happens, I'm just going to stop, I'm going to reset, and I'm going to go again. And I want you to do the same thing. If you find that adding that extra level of complexity in is throwing the whole thing out, then you go back to where we were on that first version, but just keep moving through that 40 seconds. I hope that makes sense. Let's go with our timer again. And it's opposite arm to leg this time. So we've got one bit moving and the other bit is going in the opposite direction. Out, out, in, and in. Keeping it nice and steady. Good stuff. How are you getting on? Have you got muddled? Do you need to take it down a notch? Or are you powering through? There we go. That's our 40 seconds. I just lost it right at the end. Good. So that is box step. What I want you to think about, it doesn't matter if the exercise went wrong, but what I want you to think about is how you can make exercises more complex or a little bit less complex by thinking of that principle of adding and taking away layers, making sure that we are keeping your brain as interested as possible in the movement. So it's all very well and good getting the intensity component of your prescription, but if your brain isn't finding new ways to move, you won't get the same effect of your exercise. So it's all about keeping that complexity, keeping everything novel, keeping your brain interested so that we can create the chemical changes that are going to treat your symptoms. So that's box step. We're going to show you another exercise now, and you can start this exercise in sitting if you want to. The exercise is called cheerleader. So what we're going to do is one arm goes out to the front, one arm goes to the side. You come in, other way, and in. So one arm out, one arm in, like that. Okay, Let's try 40 seconds of that one. So we're in our strong stance position. We go out, in, out, and in. Moving at a pace that suits you, but try to make sure that you're getting to the very, very end ranges. So we go out and in, out and in. Power, control, power, control. Good. Keep moving through that. That's it. Nice strong movements. Arms are parallel to the floor. And we go from an explosive out to a control in. That is the end of our 40 seconds. Let's stop that one. So it's quite tough on the arms. We've got those two different directions going there. What we're going to do next is add in an up and an in, an up and an in. So it's kind of think of it as going round a clock. So we're going out, in, up, in. I got that wrong, I'm so sorry. So we're going to go from here. See, complexity, that's what we're talking about. So we're going out and in. I'm getting this so muddled up. It's almost as if I planned for a complexity on this one, isn't it? So we go one to the front, one to over, one to the front, and one to up. That's it, I've got it. So it's out, forwards, forwards, and out. Oh dear. Right, let's give it a try. Heaven help you if you can follow along with those instructions. Let's do a watch rather than listen to my full description of it. So we've set our timer off. We go there, forwards, forwards, and out. We go out, forwards, forwards, and out. Keep going. Out, forwards, forwards, and out. Out, forwards, forwards, and out. Keep it up. Out, forwards, forwards, and out. Good. Keep the pattern going through. That is our 40 seconds. So we added some extra complexity into it, which completely made me lose my mind. So it was the pattern of the movement in which we changed the complexity of it. What you can add, I can't imagine why I'd want to add another layer of complexity given my demonstration just there, but what you can add is then bringing some leg movement in with the arms. So if you need to take it back a little bit and you just want to work on the single arm element, you can. If you want to do that more complicated pattern going round, then you can add a march in as well. Who knows how this is going to go from my end, but we'll give it a try. We've got 40 seconds coming up on our timer. We're going to get the feet going first, and then we're going to add those arms in. So it's the same pattern of the arms that I tried to show you before, but I'm adding a march into it as well. Out, forwards, forwards, and out. Good. Out, forwards, forwards, and out. You can take the legs out of it if you want to. And you can just work on the arms. But then if you're ready, you can bring those legs in too. And that is our 40 seconds of cheerleader complete. Let me turn that timer off. So another example of how we can add on or take away layers. I didn't make it really much past that first one, but once I got over that stumbling block, we were there. So that's another exercise that involves complexity and layers. The next exercise and the final one for this little demonstration is going to be something called Speed Skater. And this is an exercise that not only has those complexity levels through it, but it also is quite a challenge on your balance, and it's good for strengthening around your hip muscles as well. I'm hoping I'm going to do better on this demonstration than I did on the last one. The basic component of the movement is just going to be with your hands on your hips, and we're moving from side to side. So step and touch, step and touch. Okay, let's give that one a whirl for 40 seconds. Oh, missed the button. There we go. 40 seconds of a step and a touch, a step and a touch. And you can add a little bit of knee bend through it. And we're trying to cover as much distance from side to side as you can manage. So it's good for our balance and our agility with this sideways movement. And by the time we get to the third round of this exercise, you will see how it helps to strengthen our hips, because you'll feel your bottom muscles have worked. Nice and tall. And that is 40 seconds complete. Good. Okay, next version of this one, we're going to add, so we take the step to the side, but rather than the leg coming in towards, it goes behind. So it's almost like you're doing a little curtsy. So we step and go behind. So quite a balance challenge, this one, because we're crossing over the midline of the body. If you feel at all unsteady doing this one, then just stick with what we were doing before. If your feet get muddled up, then just go back to what we were doing before. Alrighty, let's give it 40 seconds and see how we get on. So we go to that crossover step. Nice. So bringing in that balance and agility challenge, and more complex with our movement because we're stepping behind. Great stuff. Hands are still on hips. Elbows open, that helps you to open the chest, keeping a nice upright posture. And you should be starting to feel those muscles on the outsides of the leg work now. That is the end of your 40-second block. And I'll show you the final layer that we're going to add on to that. So it's the same step touch, but I want you to bring in some arm movement. So you're going to cross and cross. So we're adding a little bit of a twist. And of course you've got that opposite arm leg coming forwards before you swap over. So imagine, we call it speed skater, it was as if you were gliding along an ice rink. Let's have 40 seconds of that one. Away we go. So we bring the arm in. You're going to just gently turn the head in the direction of the movement. We add some sway and some rotation because an area in the middle back can get very stiff for a lot of people, but particularly when you have Parkinson's, that ability to twist and rotate. So we've added that element into this exercise to give you as much practice as you can get. Working the muscles around the hips. And that is time up. 40 seconds of speed skater done. So we worked through 3 different exercises there, which are part of our Get Started program. We added layers of complexity to the exercise each time to give you an idea of how you can make exercises a little bit more complicated or a little bit less, depending on how your body is feeling on any given day. I started to get a little bit breathless, particularly as we were moving through that last layer of speed skater, and that breathlessness is an important part when we think about the intensity of your exercise, because we want you to be getting to a point where you are a little bit pink in the cheeks and a little bit short of breath, so that we know that you're working at the right level to achieve the changes in the brain that we want when you're exercising to treat Parkinson's. Our warm-up gave us a little bit of a mobility drill. We're going to finish off now with a cool down, which adds in some stretches. And your cool down is the great time, the best time really, to get your stretch component of your exercise prescription. So for your stretches, can I get you to come into a nice wide stance for me? So we've got a really strong base of support. Link your fingers together and press forwards towards the screen. So you're just gently bending the wrists back, stretching out through the fingers. And then if you can drop your chin down towards your chest and push the palms forward, push the ribs back, we're going to stretch and open out the backs of the shoulders there. Now we're going to do the opposite type of movement to that. We're going to release the hands at the front and we're going to bring the arms all the way around behind you. Getting a hold of either wrist and try to lift your hands away from your bottom, bringing the chest open and raising the eye line. Good. And then release. Arms down by your side, palms face forward, and arms up and out to the side. Just stop when you get to shoulder height there before you then bend the elbows to bring the fingertips behind the ears. Keep those elbows wide as you go over into a side bend. Lifting that top elbow up towards the ceiling. We're elongating along the side of the body and giving you a nice big stretch across the front of the chest. Come up to the middle and over the other way. Over and hold. Keep the elbows back, keep the chest lifted. Come back into the middle. And then we're going to open the arms all the way round and down. Let's try and stretch out through your legs a little bit. So if you want to hold on to a chair, a wall, a windowsill for a little bit of balance, then you can. And I'm going to get you to take a big step back, pressing your heel towards the floor. So you can be holding on here if you need to. And we're stretching up the back of this straight leg. Your front knee is bent and your back leg is straight. So feeling a pull at the back of the calf. Shoulders down, strong straight knee. And we're going to hold that stretch for a good 10, 15 seconds. Good. Stepping up in center, other leg back. Chest open. Strong straight knee at the back. Feeling that pull at the back of the thigh. Lovely. Hold it for 10, 15 seconds. And then we can release and come back up. Last little stretch for the backs of the legs now. So taking the front leg out straight. Pull the toes up towards you and send your hips back so that you feel a pull up the back of the thigh. Holding it there. Good. And then release. We're going to do the same on the other side. So front leg out straight. Pull the toes up towards you. Send the hips back. Nice, strong, straight line there. Holding it for a good 10, 15 seconds. Lengthen and elongate that muscle. Nice, wide, full breaths. Fantastic. And then stepping back and through. And that is your routine complete for today. I want you to think about mobility, stretch, and then elements of aerobic, balance, agility, and multitasking. Those are just a few of your components of exercise, and that's a short little dose for today. Try and do something every day if you can. And if you've got any questions about what your exercise prescription should contain, please have a look at our website, or you can email us with any questions. Our programs are designed to make sure they meet all of those elements, and we will have something that will be able to help you. So we'll be back next Monday for another live stream class. We'll be back at 10:45. If you've got any suggestions of the things that you would like us to cover, please do pop us a message or send us an email, and we would love a like and a subscribe because it helps our videos get seen by as many people as possible. Thank you for bearing with me through that little stumble in the middle where I completely forgot what I was trying to do, but that's live exercise, and I'm really grateful that you were here with us. We'll see you again soon for your next workout, whenever that may be. Bye-bye.